if they see it, they'll believe it. If they see it, they'll remember it. And we'd by then started a nativity play, and he started to write the Passion play that then became the Life of Christ. And he's 89 now, and probably about 18 months. I said we thought about Trafalgar Square. It costs us about 115,000 a year to put that on. I told Dad that I would raise the money for that because I felt so passionate about it. We'd, in the meantime, for the last 15 years, have been doing it in Scotland, a nativity play, and for the millennium we had done a Passion play that James was at, and because I met James through Wales when they did a play. And I'd been doing it with my husband in Scotland, and when Dad said, when he was 85, he was going to step back, I was the person who naturally looked as if I should come down to Winchell, and I'd been producing before, and he'd done production, and my brothers and sister live there and have all been in it, but they weren't in a position to take on production. And unfortunately, I'm also chairman of the trustees, and I'm rubbish at it, and I can't understand spreadsheets. So whoever was talking about those people's spreadsheets, I thought, we need them.
Can you tell us about your home, your husband, your family there quickly, and then how the Ochtermachty Passion Play started and how it and its demise?
We've started. Both Wintershall and us at Lockyer Head in Fife have started with the nativity play, because the nativity play is a bit of a feel-good factor play, and it's not so confrontational, and people are used to the Christmas card. So we'd already got a following from the nativity play, and then we wanted to celebrate the year 2000, and we were engaged with all the churches, and that's what it's all about, really. It's everybody being part of it, and no denominations. Nobody can argue with the gospel story. It cuts any theological arguments, really. If you're just telling the gospel story, nobody can argue it. But so we did it, actually. Dad wrote us a bit of a play called The Footsteps of Christ, and we did that in year 2000 in the field in front of our house, and we live on a farm. And then we did it in 2002, and then Alex's father took it up and took it into Edinburgh, and you ran it for 5 years. 3 years ago, we stopped doing the nativity at Lockyer Head, our farm, and the community took it up because the council felt it had become such an established thing in Fife. And we even had the Rotary Club giving us money for it, and a lot of secular people felt that it was doing a good thing in the community. And I handed it over to another person, and they've now done it at the local fruit farm. So it's been going on, but with luckily nothing to do with us.
Wow,
because I can't do Wintershall and Fife.
Yeah, I met you a couple of times, and you were talking about the Fife nativity play, and some of the difficulties you were going through, trying to produce a play with very little and do great things with very little. Tell us about the burdens and difficulties you've gone through, and how you overcome them, especially in Ochtermachty.
Especially in Ochtermachty. Well, we're a mile from the bus stop, and but we have a nice field and a rattling old corrugated sheeting barn, nothing pretty like round here or Surrey. And it was actually just getting anybody from your church or from the community who sort of could capture the vision, really. I think with these plays, you have the vision and you have these amazing ideas, and you think, it's absolutely, I can just see how it's going to be brilliant. And then there's the end bit, and we've done it, and it's brilliant, and then there's the middle bit, and you just think, I just don't think we can do this anymore. And you can lose the vision because, the horses or the animals or the money or the weather or the cast, there's so much that can go wrong, and it becomes grinding. And you just think, I just can't face it. The children, I've got to do another rehearsal on Sunday. The children say that I never see them, I this, that, and the other. But actually, you know what all the problems are, because we all have them. And then the cast doesn't turn up, or, and the director's giving you grief. And you're just thinking, why am I doing this? And God, where are you? And, it all was so plain. And now it's just a disaster. And then it goes on. And actually, James said to me last time, I don't know how we got that through, how we made that play. And you must think it often, but particularly with us. And then the letters come in, and the comments come in, and it's changed my life. And I cried the whole way through, and I'm going back to church. And you think, I don't know how it happened, because it certainly wasn't us. It's just by the power of the Holy Spirit. Any of these things seem to come off at all, I think. But, and actually in Trafalgar, I don't know, I'm jumping.
No, you do what
in Trafalgar Square last year, everybody keeps saying data capture. We're totally not technical. One of Dad's problems is he never kept an email because it was just new. And everybody says, so tens and hundreds of thousands have seen your plays, and I don't know who they are. And if we have 10 or 20,000 in Trafalgar Square now, who are they who are coming? We haven't got a big advertising budget. Who are coming? So we tried to do data capture last year, and I rang. Probably I got Mum and a few others to ring all the telephone numbers who had tweeted in or texted in £3 if they'd enjoyed it at the end. So we had about 500 £3. Not much after you've got to raise 115,000, but it's not really that. It's just who were they? And they were Syrian Orthodox, they were Armenians, they were Catholics, they were Pentecostals. They were Church of England. They were people going to the National Gallery who just happened to be caught and then came back and watched it a second time. They were Jews. They were Muslims who, I stood with some Hindus, not last year, a couple of years ago. No, not Hindus, Sikhs, who had come out of the tube station and had been caught up in the crowd. And they kept saying to me, how could you do this to your God? Why did you do this to your God? But at least that they were there and stayed and watched and learned what the story was. I kept saying it's got a happy ending. Hang on. It's got a happy ending. It's not all bad news. We were Christians and people standing together to remember Jesus and what he's done for us. Okay,
Goodness me.
I get a bit fired up. They never give me a part, but I do this thing.
Trial one goes through in putting these passion plays on. I mean, it's worth it in the end, but is there any tips you'd give people here to make it easier, just to make the burden lighter, so when the disappointments come, how do you cope?
Yeah, I would just say don't give up and don't let money be your stopper, because there's never enough money and you're never rich enough, and actually having not much money keeps you creative.
Wow.
And it makes you think of other ways of doing things. Never ever let money be the stopper, and if you're vocational, it will come. And if you're meant to do it, it will come. I can't bear it when people say, oh, we've run out of money, or we haven't got enough money, we're not doing it. Because I know how hard it is, and it doesn't matter how small you start. I mean, Wintershall might be big now, and we're still going through crises, and I've got to get new cast, and we've got lots of older people, but no young people, and I look at you and I'm thinking, oh, I want some marvellous people like those over there to come and be in it. There's always going to be problems until the day we die. We're going to have a problem of one sort or another, and we just got to ride these problems. And sometimes I thought today, gosh, my husband said, do you have to? And I thought, oh, well, you never know. but there is always problems, but don't just keep plodding on. We're on a pilgrimage. This is our pilgrimage. This is our story. This is our life, really. That's all I can really say.
That's great. To put passion plays on, what's in the DNA? Why did it come
I'm
out?
the only one who's not living at Wintershall. So I had some practice in doing our own up there. I'm also a rubbish actor. They're all quite good. So they're already in it, and they're slightly more creative. And, my brother, he just wants to be Pilate in Trafalgar Square. He just says, give me the Colosseum, And then we never see him for the next year. And so they just didn't want, actually being a producer is just, as I was saying to Chan, I was like, it's just a dog's body, you're organising the loos, and the money, and nobody really wants it. It's a sort of thankless task, but actually it's okay. I wish I could be a marvellous director like you guys, but I'm not. And so I have been lucky enough to work with some great directors, and Suzanne, one of yours. So I just that's what I do. We've all got different gifts, haven't we? And that actually is the other thing about these plays. My gosh, it's the body of Christ. I can't act, but some people can't produce, and I can't do it half the things, but it's the community, it's the tea lady, it's everybody coming together. And really, we're just multi-gifted, utterly brilliant, really. If we work together, and people are deeply annoying, and people find me deeply annoying, that's part of it.
Okay, so you've got people here who want to start up a passion play. They want to close their high street down in their city, and they want to start. How do they get the best team? How do you choose the best team to make it happen?
If you're lucky enough to be able to choose a team, that's fantastic. It's usually people who are just brought to you or come to you. If I could say, let's have an audition, actually I was talking to your daughter who said, I've got to audition to see whether I'm the child. I said, are there many auditions? She said, no, just the children. But you don't really put together a team. You just hope that there's somebody within the group of people that you've come together with that actually have got some kind of knowledge. They realise, actually talking to June, that whole post-secularism we're in now, that actually they do realise that there's something in spirituality and it's good for the kids. I can't even remember what I was saying, but I was just that actually Emma Hendy, who's the girl who's coming up, who's now head teacher, and bringing her school, and just bringing children. Actually, I can't remember. I lost myself. Sorry. But I was just looking, actually, your children growing up, and they will be coming up in. So I think families, if they can come in and the children grow up within the cast, it's a fantastic thing to do with your children or your grandchildren, with grandparents who bring their children to be in the cast. But you then have to go through the matron stuff, but it's brilliant to bring children into it. And we've seen children, we've got an autistic boy at the moment, Joel, and his confidence is growing, and he's home educated, and it's just remarkable. And you see people growing and becoming something that they wouldn't if they weren't within a dramatic drama situation. It's definitely through word of mouth and relationships and cost. And so we get quotes. And at this moment, it depends where we are. Say we went to Canterbury Cathedral last year, the cathedral did it in-house for us because there wasn't the budget to do it. Same when we went to Oxford Brookes, but we've got the people who have done it for a long time. But in fact, I know one of them is retiring, so we'll have to go out and look for somebody else who can do it. And it's vital. I mean, it is the most vital thing. There's pointless putting on a play if nobody can hear it. It's fundamental. But usually it's relationship. And I've come in on the Winchell relationship. So when I was doing it in Scotland, I got quotes from 2 or 3 different people, and then it's communication. Do I like you? Do I trust you? Will you do it? And if you're Christian, it sort of slightly helps, but sometimes it doesn't. Doesn't make much difference.
Now, last question. Tell us the future of Trafalgar Square and Windsor. Well, where do you see it going in 10 years' time?
Well, the GLA said to us when I was last there, Christians will come to Trafalgar Square now, whether you're there or not. And I feel that if we're not there, the space is being claimed for Jesus as opposed to other things. St Martin's the Fields is there. I hope and pray we will go on and people will come. I was in the Welsh Valleys actually a couple of months ago, and when I was talking in the church about us being there, they said, "Oh, we're coming by bus. We're coming by bus to Trafalgar Square." And I thought, that's people from across the country. We're evolving because we've been going for 30 years, so we're into a new place. And why I was so inspired by Poole was it seems so fresh and vibrant, and actually we are, and we will continue to be, like the picture on there, and that's Jesus, and we're like that. So we're static, like I think there was one man who was saying you're static and in a field like us, but we also now go into the city and we also do the procession. So we do 5 or 6 different productions a year really around, with an amazingly dedicated cast who have to bring their own thermosks and their own biscuits, and I'm going back thinking, we better up the game. And even because we had financial crisis, as everybody does, last year, they even had to bring their own food to the cast party. But they're an inspiration, as you are. So I feel deeply privileged. Sorry, that was a very long answer, but I feel deeply privileged to be involved in these remarkable community plays of bringing Jesus to the people.